Hello, stamping friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. So happy you're able to join me tonight on the live or on the replay or on my YouTube channel. So thank you for being part of my community. All right, so we have 5 weeks in December. And so it's our 5th Sunday with pretty petals. And so I'm excited to share some fun folds with you tonight. For sentiments, I'm going to be using the Simply Said stamp set. It's one of my favorite sentiments that I've been using. I just love the different fonts. I love the different sayings. We've got Let's Celebrate, Thinking of You, Happy Birthday, Thank You, Miss You, Yay, Just Thanks, Hello, Birthday Wishes, and Just a Note. So we will be using those tonight as we do our stamping. So let me just get my chair in place. There we go. And we'll get started. Okay. So our first card tonight is going to be using the Soft Subtles and one of our new in colors. So let me just get all the pieces out, and this is the first card that we're going to be using tonight. And I'm going to be using oh, there's no sound. Let me see what the problem is. Let me just make sure my volume is all the way up. Is that working now, Bonnie? Or Lynn, can you hear me? I just want to make sure the sound is going through. Okay. All right. Bonnie, maybe it's something on your end that maybe your sound's turned down or something. This is the first card we're going to be making tonight. It is a take on a Z fold, and it uses Pretty in Pink, which is one of the in colors, and I'm using some Lost Lagoon, but I'm using it from a new package of Designer Series paper. And this is called, it's going to be in the new mini catalog, Timeless Plaid. And it has so many colors that it covers: Basic Beige, Boho Blue, Cajun Craze, Calypso Coral, Cherry Cobbler, Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, Lost Lagoon, Misty Moonlight, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Pebbled Path, Pecan Pie, and Wild Wheat. So let me show you the patterns. This comes just like the paper I showed you the other night. It comes with 8 different designs that are double-sided, so you have 16 different designs, and you get 6 pages of each for a total of 48. So here is design number 1 and the back. Design number 2 and the back side. We're going to be using that tonight. Design number 3, and here's another one we're going to be using, and the back side. Here's the next one, and the back side. No, I think there's actually 12 here. I miscounted. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think there's 12. Sorry. And then it'd be 4 sheets. And then we have this one that has, you know, that Crumb Cake, Mossy Meadow, and Misty Moonlight. And the back side has some of the Mossy Meadow. Here we have some of the gray, the espresso, and the Crumb Cake. And the back side. This one here, it has the Calypso in it with some of the espresso and the Crumb Cake. Let me just grab this one. And this is the back side. I love that. It's so pretty. This one we have the Calypso and the Boho Blue. And on the back side we have some more Boho Blue. Here we have some Mossy Meadow, Misty, Moonlight, and then that is our back. And then finally some crumb cake, some beige, and some Misty Moonlight, and then the browns on the back. So just a beautiful group of papers, and it comes with the Storytime suite, and I'll be showing you more of that later. So we're going to need a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 pretty and pink cardstock. We're going to score it, and I've already done that, at 1 3/4, at 3 1/4, and at 4 1/4. With that, we are going to, so I'm using, I think I didn't show you this one, I'm using this Lost Lagoon piece, and the back has this really pretty pattern on it. None of the other papers, oh, that's okay, Bonnie. None of the other papers had this cool design on the back. So that's what I really loved about it. So for this, I'm going to need a piece that is 2 5/8 by 5.5. I'm going to need another piece that is a 1/2 inch wide. And I'm going to need, where did I put, oh, they're right here. I'm going to need another piece that is 3/8 of an inch wide. And then I need 2 pieces that are 3/4 inch by 5.5. And then for white, for basic white, I'm going to need a piece that is a 1/2 inch wide for the sentiment. I'm going to need a piece for the inside of the card that's 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to need a piece for the front that we're going to be stamping on that is 2 3/8. Yep, 2 3/8 by 5 1/4. So we're actually going to be stamping on both of these and this. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm just going to take care of our stamping. So we are going to be using Pretty in Pink and Lost Lagoon. I'm going to start with the Let's Celebrate, and I'm going to be stamping that on the piece, the white strip. And there we go. Let me just see. Yep, that looks good. And then we are going to stamp on, using this green again, the Lost Lagoon. I'm going to be stamping the greenery. And I'm going to be putting this up about halfway onto the piece of basic white. There we go. And then I'm going to, on the inside, it's just that little flower. I'm going to use the green for as well. And I'm going to stamp that right here on the left side. Okay, let's get to our pink. So with our Pretty in Pink, just a reminder, as I talked about previously, if you put the flowers on your stamp with this open oval area towards the bottom, then what we're going to do is line up the 2 small flowers in the upper left corner and the 2 small flowers in the upper right corner. And that will help us line everything up perfectly. So if I make sure those are lined up with their stems, then my flowers are going to be all lined up, just like that. And then I have the small. I've been stamping all afternoon, so forgive me if I can't find something. And then I'm going to line these up too. There we go. And I hadn't cleaned this stamp, so good thing there's a back to each piece of paper. So let me get my cleaner. I'm using my chamois right now. So I'm just going to clean them all because I am going to be using these in different inks. And we'll re-stamp this. I guess I shouldn't have cleaned that because I'm going right back to the Lost Lagoon. There we go. And now I'll use the pink. I've been just stamping all day. It's been a nice change in my schedule. I don't usually take a Sunday and just not do any schoolwork. But luckily, I have no school tomorrow. So we're starting our second week of vacation. Okay, so now let's put this all together. We're going to need this smaller piece here is going to go on the inside of our card. So I'm going to put it up so it's covering some of the leaves. And I'm just going to trim that with my snips. All right. This is going to be layered on this larger piece of Designer Series paper. There we go. And the Let's Celebrate is going to go on the thin, long piece. So let me just cut that off. And we'll add this, and then we'll get the fun fold part put together. And this we're going to put on some dimensionals. It's going to go on the front of the card. Okay, everything's ready to be put together. So let's grab our card. First thing we're going to do is fold and burnish. And let me just make sure. No, that's not how I want it. This is going to go this way. So I'm folding. So this piece here we're going to attach. So let me give my, so this is like combination Z fold, book binding fold. So we're going to connect that book binding. And then we're going to have it so it's going to open like that, and this will fold over, if that makes sense. All right, so the first thing we have to do is put our little pieces of Designer Series paper. They're going to go on each end. And it's going to go over here on this end as well. This will be an easy card to recreate and to be able to use what you have on hand for Designer Series paper, or you could even do embossing folders here. Then this piece, the smaller piece that I just stamped that little flower and added some of the Designer Series paper, is going to go on the inside. So I just want to make it even with that Designer Series paper. There we go. Now, I am going to, did I stamp? No, I didn't stamp anything, so we're going to just leave that inside. Now, this is going to go on the front, and I want to put it on the front so it covers up this space. So I'm going to show just a little bit of pink, and there it's centered on the front. Oh, thank you, Lynn. I have had a blast with this stamp set. I am so glad I bought it, and I really have enjoyed it. It's been a fun month for me. Okay, so there we go. So I only attached it on that little piece right there. All right, now let's put the label on, and our first fun fold is done. And there we go. There is card number 1. It's so cute. And just a beautiful set. Okay, let's go on to our second card. I love this one because it's blues, and I just love blue. So this is a front flap kind of fun fold. So we have the Designer Series paper, some Misty Moonlight, and a piece of crumb cake. I love blue and crumb cake. And this is going to flap open like this. And then the card is going to open like this. So you have plenty of room with this one. Okay, let's put it together. So what do you need for this one? You need a piece of paper that measures 5.5 by 8.5, standard card size. We're going to need a piece of Misty Moonlight that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then we're going to cut a piece of this Designer Series paper, the Misty Moonlight Plaid, and it measures 4 by 5 1/4. So just 1/8 of an inch different. And then this piece is going to go on the front. And there's just going to be a real tiny little border around it. There we go. That's the front of the card. To make the flap, we're going to need a piece of paper of crumb cake, or the same color of the base, whatever colors you're using, that measures 3 inches by 8 inches. And we're going to score it at 4 inches. And I'm going to put some adhesive on the back because this is just going to go onto the front of the card front. But I want to make sure I put enough adhesive because it's going to get played with a lot. So I'm just adding some extra adhesive. And then I'll center this right on the front. And that's all you have to do for this fun fold, and then start decorating it. So on the inside, the very inside of the card, I didn't stamp anything. I just used the Designer Series paper. So this piece measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I have here a piece that is 3/4 by 4 that I'm just going to put at the bottom. And that way this will help tie it together to the front of the card. There we go. And so I'll just put this on the inside. This is one of the quickest fun folds you can do. And so that will go there on the inside. And now we can start doing our stamping. So I am going to take this time. We're going to be using some neutrals, and we're going to be using Misty Moonlight and Mossy Meadow. I'm going to be using Mossy Meadow for the next card too. So I won't need to really clean this stamp in between. So these are the same size. They measure, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I'm going to use the smaller one again. There we go. And we're going to use the Misty Moonlight and for both the sentiment and the flowers. Hi Cheryl, thanks for joining. I have to be honest, I haven't even used the coordinating dies, and I did buy them. I've just had a lot of fun this month making cards with it without doing any other, I haven't done the dies at all. So I guess I would answer that question that you probably don't need. You could get away with making beautiful cards by just using the stamp set like I'm doing tonight. And then we'll use the smaller flowers, and again in the Misty Moonlight. And so let me just line those up. There we go. Oh, and I need to stamp the hello. Okay. So now we just have to add these to the front of the card, and we are good to go on this one. So I know on Fridays I make some pretty fancy fun folds, but there are many types of fun folds you can make that are very simple and just as effective, like the ones I'm doing tonight. Okay, so card number 2. There's the front and the inside. Okay, the final card is this one here. And with this fun fold, the actual fun part of the fold, we're going to cut away part of the card. So it opens up like this. Okay, so let's get started. For this card, and I'm going to do the cutting before I get any stamps out, you are going to need an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. And we're going to fold it in half. And then we're going to get out our paper cutter. I want to have a 2-inch piece right here. So on my paper cutter, I am going to, because I want this at 2 inches, I know this is 5.5, so I'm going to put this at 3.5. There we go. And then I'm going to bring my cutting blade up to 4.25. And I'm just going to go like that. So now I have that 2-inch flap. And I'm going to go back to my paper cutter, and I'm going to put this right along my score line or my fold. Oops, it's kind of ripping the paper. Well, we'll fix that in just a minute. I guess I should have gone up. And I'll go back to that 4 and take that right off. I think it's time to change my cutting blade. That has not happened in a long time. So I end up with this 2-inch flap here and the rest of my So what I'm going to do, this is just a trick if your cutting blade ever just decides to not play nice with you. Just take a nail file and rub it along the edge. And you can see, I don't know if you can see those little strands that my obviously blade that needs to be. But I've got a whole pile of those little pieces, and I could work harder on it, but I think I'm just going to go and make the card. I've got most of them off. Okay, there we go. All right, the rest of what you need for this card. You are going to need a piece for the inside that measures 4 by 5 1/4. This is basic white. Then I have a piece of the Blackberry Bliss. I love this combination of Blackberry Bliss and Mossy Meadow. It's 5 1/2 by 8. Excuse me. It's 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I have this piece of basic white that's just a little smaller at 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. I have a 1/2 inch wide strip for the sediment. And then I have a piece of the Designer Series paper that measures 1 3/4 by 4. And then I have another 1/2 inch strip. All right, so let's get started and do some stamping. I'm going to do the inside after I put the card together, and I normally don't do that. But I want my sentiment to be hidden by this piece here. So I am just going to put this piece in, and I'm going to start by just putting this small strip across the bottom. I've just started to play with my new stuff from the new mini that's coming out. And so far I've only been playing with the Terrific Toads set. I really, really like that stamp set. I'm having a lot of fun. So much fun that I've decided to use it for next month's Simply Stamping Sunday. So you won't be seeing flowers. We're going to go in a different direction and go straight to some other wildlife and go to the fungi kingdom. Okay, this piece is going to go right on the front on that flap. And I'm lining it up with the basic white that's on the inside. Now to do my stamping. So I am going to use Happy Birthday, and I'm going to stamp that in Blackberry Bliss. Okay, that's all done. We'll set that aside. Then we're going to stamp in the Mossy Meadow. The leaves again. I'm just going to center that on this piece of paper. And then I'm going to take, just going to get the blue off. The burgundy is a much darker, the Blackberry Bliss is much darker than the blue, but I still don't want to get the blue into my pad. Okay, so again, like I've said, that trick, I'm just lining up those 4 small flowers. There we go. Now, this is going to go on this, and then I'm going to place that on the front, and then I'm going to do my stamping on the inside. I'm only going to put my adhesive down here at the bottom because that's the only place it's going to be adhered. And then what I want to do is center this onto the front of the card. Here we go. I've got it a little high, so I can take my eraser wherever I put it. I'll get that off afterwards. I should have just, or I could just put it down a tad. And I think that's what I'll do. Still will be centered, but all of the adhesive will be right on the back. There we go. Okay, easy fix. Now what I want to do next is to take my birthday wishes and I'm going to stamp it in the Blackberry Bliss. And I want it to go right behind my stamped image on the front. So there we go. And then what I want to do is I want to take my other piece of greenery, which I put on my happy birthday background because I was running out of stamps. And I'm going to stamp that right beside the birthday wishes. And then I'm going to put this piece on and stamp it. Let me just take that off. Right like that. So there you can see the inside. It's all covered. And that is our final fun fold. So let me close. Oh, I haven't put the greeting on. One more little step. So I'm going to trim this. And just across part of it, I'm going to add the adhesive. And I'm going to put this so it lines up with that designer series paper. Now it is finished. All right, so let's take a look at what we made tonight. So this was our first fold. It's a take on a Z fold with a bookbind fold. So that one opens up like that. Then our second card was a Hello Wishes with that front flap, front fold. And then our last one was a Cutaway fun fold. So this is it for the Pretty Petals. I hope you've enjoyed all of the stamping with this set this month. If you want to order it and need help, please let me know. I look forward to seeing you next Friday night for Fun Fold Friday and next Sunday for a new edition in a new month, a new year of Simply Stamping Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Have a great New Year's and I'll see you soon. Good night, everybody.